Hi friends, welcome to Kodai Linux. I am your facilitator Murali. As a part of today's session, we are going to learn about the selection control constructs. Basically, there are two types of control constructs, selection control construct and the iterative control construct. What is the purpose of control construct? Whenever you want to do decision making, there are a lot of instances wherein you need to take a decision, right? Like based on the performance, based on the grade in the sports, a decision has to be taken whether to induct a person into the defense or not. Based on the percentage of percentile of marks scored in a competitive exam, a decision has to be taken whether the person has to be inducted into this particular organization or not. uh, so there are so many instances wherein we do the decision making. There are two kinds of decision making. There is one decision making wherein basically based on a particular condition evaluation, you need to just perform the task once. There is another kind of decision making wherein there is another scenario of decision making wherein as long as a particular condition is satisfied, as long as a particular condition is evaluated to a particular value, you need to keep on be performing the same task. As long as a particular condition is evaluated to a particular value, you need to keep on performing the same task again and again and again. So the first one I told, that is performing the task only once, that is the part of the selection control construct. And repeated execution of the task as long as the particular condition is satisfied, that is called as the loop, that is called as the iterative control construct, or in short form it is loop. So we are going to now learn about the selection control construct as a part of today's session. So as a part of selection control construct, we have the if condition. So you have variations of if condition. You have the simple if, you have the if else and phi. Okay, simple if is if condition, then a set of statements, then phi. Phi ends the if. If condition, else, if condition, then a set of statement, else another set of statements, phi. Okay. Yet another variation, if condition, then a set of statements, elif condition, then a set of statements, else a set of statements, phi. Simple if. So in simple if, there is one if condition. If that condition is satisfied, you are going to execute a block of statements. Then an if is always terminated by a phi. Then you have if else phi. If condition, then a block of statements, else another block of statements, phi. So if the condition is satisfied, what you need to do? If the condition is not satisfied, that is taken care by the else part, then what you need to do? So only one of this block is going to be executed. They are mutually exclusive. Either the block of statements following the then keyword is executed, or the block of statements following the else keyword is executed. But one of these is necessarily executed, because if the condition, it is only one of the scenarios. Either the condition is satisfied or the condition is not satisfied. Okay, so one of the blocks is necessarily executed, but only one of the blocks is executed. So that we need to understand. Okay. Then we have the if elif. If condition, then if the condition is satisfied, then you need to okay, you are executing a block of statements. Elif condition, okay, in some programming languages it will be else if. In shell script it is elif. Okay, elif condition, then a set of statements, then else a set of statements or block of statements, finally a file. Okay, so here again, so one of the blocks is going to be necessarily executed, but only one of the blocks would be executed. So this we need to keep in mind. And one more thing with regard to the syntax is that before the then keyword there should be a semicolon. Either if you are giving then keyword in the same line, then you have to specify a semicolon before the then keyword, or you can specify the then keyword in the next line. Then the semicolon is not a must. You need not give the semicolon. Okay, so this syntax requirement we need to keep in mind. Then we have the nested if. Okay, what is nested if? Nested if is evaluating an if condition within another if condition. So we have an outer if condition and we have an inner if condition. So outer if condition we can consider that as a primary if condition, primary condition getting evaluated, and the inner if condition we can take it as a secondary if condition. So if the primary if condition is satisfied, then only the secondary if condition would be evaluated. If the primary condition itself is not satisfied, then the secondary if condition will not get evaluated, right? So that is the thing. So just look at this if condition, then a block of statements. Within that, okay, without even before ending that if condition, what you are doing, you are checking another if condition. So if condition, there is a inner if, then a block of statements, fine. So that you are ending, that's a simple if. Then elif condition, then a block of statements, else a block of statements, and then file. Now let us start working with the shell scripts. Let us start working with the if control construct. Okay, so I will take certain scenarios, and based on that scenarios we will work with the if control construct. Okay, so first let us write a program, okay, whose purpose is like this. This program would accept a username from the user, from the person who is executing the script. It will accept a username, and if that username is present in the system, then it would send a mail to that user. Okay, so send mail. So I am giving the name of the shell script as send mail. So vi send mail.sh. Okay, so what is the purpose of this? So in a script, always comments would be starting with the hash character. Okay, so I want to enter what the script would do. Accept username from the person, accept a name from the user. Okay, accept a name from the user and check if the person with the name exists. If so, send a mail to the person. Fine. Okay, so how do we accept input from the user? We all know. How do we display something on the monitor? First, echo, please enter a name, okay, to whom you want to send mail. Okay, read name. Fine. So echo statement would display the message on the monitor. Read statement would expect input from the keyboard, and whatever line of input the user gives, that line of input would be assigned to the variable name. So read would create a variable called name. So read is going to do the following tasks. First task is that it would create a variable called name. Second task, it would expect input from the line of input from the user. So once the user enters his line of input, then what happens? That line of input, the read command is going to assign to the variable name. So this is what is going to be the task that is performed by the read command. Read is going to perform this exactly. Okay, first we are uh, displaying a message on the screen so that the user will know what she or he has to do. Then with the read command, we are accepting an input from the user. Okay, the name. Now what is the purpose of the script? This script would accept a name from the user and check if the person with the name exists. How do you check if a particular name exists? By name I mean the user ID. Okay, how whether the particular user ID exists. Okay, very simple. There is one command. There are various ways. One way, let me tell you, two of the ways, let me tell you. Whichever user is there in the system, that username would be there in the /etc/password. So you can grep for that user in /etc/password. And if that grep is successful, it means that user exists. Or there is one more way, ID space username. There is one command called ID command. ID would be successful if the user exists. Okay, let me, for that purpose, let me just come out of the VA editor and just show you. Okay, so escape :WQ. So I just came out of the VA editor. Okay, ID, for example, I am giving ID Madan, then echo $? ID Madan, no such user, and it returns 1. Okay, ID I am giving Mohan. Yes, user Mohan is there in the system and hence it returns 0, right? Okay, so this is one way of checking whether the user exists. So if the user exists, it would return 0. It would assign the value 0 to $? By examining the value of $? I can basically decide. Okay, or the another way is that you can grep for that user in the /etc/password file, because all the users who are there in that system, okay, who are there, who are the login users, who have the login credentials, those user names would be there in /etc/password, right? So I'm grepping for it, and if the grep is successful, it would assign the value 0 to $? Right? So the user Mohan is there. Okay, hence it is storing the value 0 in $? I am just looking for Madan. The user Madan is not there, and hence grep is storing the value 1 in the $? Variable. Okay. Now let us get back to the script that we just started with, sendmail.sh. And one more thing, just for executing a command, we don't have to come out of the VA editor. Let me just show you. Being in the VA editor itself, we can execute a command. How do we do that? Very simple. There is one operator called exclamation operator. So whatever follows the exclamation operator, :exclamation. That is, you have to. So these are the things that you need to do. Let us suppose you are there inside in the edit mode. So for coming back to the command mode in the VA editor, you have to press escape. After pressing escape, you have to press : and exclamation. So after exclamation, whatever you give, no, that VA would understand that it is a command. So it would, what happens? It would execute the command with the help of the shell. Okay, it would temporarily give the control to the shell, and the shell would execute that command and produce the output. See, I executed the date command, and the date command's output you can see. So what you wanted to check? You wanted to check the ID command, right? So escape : exclamation ID Mohan. For example, ID Mohan. Yes, you are able to get the output of the ID Mohan. Yes, or : exclamation ID Mohan, then semicolon. So more than one command if you want to execute, you can execute it like this, right? echo dollar question mark 0, right? So dollar question mark value is 0. Okay, now let me execute id dollar name. So here whatever um, input the user has given, that input would be assigned to the variable dollar name. Whatever name the user has entered, that would be there in dollar name. So after executing this, what I can do, I can check the content of the dollar question mark. If test, remember we learnt about the test command, right? So the synonym for test command is a pair of square bracket. So if test dollar name, so I can very well call it as test, right? A pair of square bracket is nothing but the test command, right? So if test dollar name, that is if test, sorry, if test, okay, dollar question mark, okay, because if id command was successful, it would have stored a value 0 in dollar question mark variable. So I want to check if whether the dollar question mark value is 0. If dollar question mark equal to 0, okay, then so if the user exists, if a dollar question mark variable value is 0, it means that the user exists, right? So if the user exists, what we want to do according to the requirement, we want to send a mail to the user. So how do you send a mail to the user? Using the mail command. Okay, mail minus s. Okay, then maybe I want to give a subject like okay, your quota. Okay, and then I'll give the username. Username is there in dollar name variable, right? Dollar name, and then there is a concept called as here document. Okay, what is that here document concept? There is a concept called as here document. So uh, let me tell you what is that here document. Okay, label, okay, mail hyphen s, your quota, dollar name, double less than label, okay, and then here I want to hi, hi dollar name, okay, uh, this is to inform you that your quota uh, is getting exceeded, please take necessary, something like this, some action, okay, system admin, okay, maybe warm regards, okay, okay, fine, then come down, then here you type label, label. So what is this here what is the meaning of this here document? Okay, what is the meaning of this here document? Okay, what is the purpose of the here document? Like when you want to supply the input to the command, mail requires an input, okay, mail requires an input file, okay, in place of input file you want to tell that you want to tell to the mail command that your input is just here, your input is just here, instead of giving some input file I am just giving the input just here. So if you want to tell that, for that there is a specific operator for the double less than. So when you can specify double less than followed by some label, and then you need to end that with label. So whatever is between the two labels, the beginning label and the ending label, okay, that set of lines is known as here document. In the as a part of the here document, you can very well specify the variable names also. See, you can see I have given the variable name hi dollar name. Yes, that is very much fine, it is accepted. Okay, so as a part of the here document I can give the variables, and that value would be interpreted, value of that variable would be interpreted by the shell. Okay, this is here document. So here document is a way wherein you can supply the input to the command just within the shell script itself. Okay, so that is the here document. This is one use of the here document we are seeing through this mail command. Okay, so here what I am doing, I am just sending a mail to the user if the user is there. Then here I want to give an else. That is, if else would be executed if the condition is false. When the condition would be false, if there is no such user. Okay, then I want to just display there is no user called, there is no user named $name in this server, something like this I am giving. Okay, right? Then fine. Okay, so what this script is doing, this script is accepting a value into the variable name, then executing a command called id. This id command would display the user ID, UID, GID information if that name is there. Okay, two things it is doing. We are able to validate if that name is there. Okay, another thing is that it is going to display the ID information like UID, GID, user ID and group ID of that particular user. Okay, but here what we want is that whether that name exists. Okay, so if ID is successful, it means the name exists. So, and that is that we can find out by checking the value of $? Variable, because the exit status of a command is stored in $? So if it is 0, then the command is successful. So we are checking whether $? Value is 0. If so, what we are doing here, we are sending a mail to the user. Here we are learning one more thing known as here document. So what we are doing, mail -s, with -s you can specify the subject, right? And then this is the person to whom we want to send the mail. Then we are specifying the here document. Okay, and what is the operator for here document? Double less than operator. Okay, followed by some label, and whatever is between the two labels, beginning and ending label, that is considered as here document. So the document which serves as an input file to the mail command, that is the here document. Okay, after sending the mail, I will just give a statement like echo mail sent successfully to $name. Okay, I'm giving a message like this. Fine. So I have saved it. Cat sendmail.sh. So this is the content of the sendmail.sh. Okay, now let me execute this. sh, okay, or bash, any shell program name I can type. Okay, bash space sendmail.sh. So the script is starting to execute, right? So first please enter a name to whom you want to send mail. So the shell script is interpreted. So the first statement is getting executed, then the second statement also has got executed. That is the read command. It is the read command that expects an input from me, right? So I am entering Mohan, right? Then I am pressing an enter. So it has assigned the value Mohan to the variable name and then ID name, right? So see, you see that statement like ID $name, then if $? Equal to 0, if it is successful, then mail. So then it has sent the mail, and then finally it has given echo mail sent successfully to Mohan. So mail sent successfully to $name. So mail sent successfully to Mohan. Okay, here we can see one thing, like when I'm entering Mohan and pressing enter, it is displaying the ID commands output also. But I don't want the ID, I don't want to see the ID commands output. The purpose of executing ID command is to uh, just capture the exit status. So then what I can do means vi sendmail.sh. Okay, I can go here. Then ID I'm executing now. I want to, okay, I want to suppress the output of ID command. My purpose of executing ID command is to just capture the exit status. I don't want the output of ID command to be displayed on a monitor. So what I'm doing, I'm suppressing the output of ID command by redirecting the output to dev null. It's a null file, right? Okay, colon WQ. Now let me execute the script once again. So by pressing up arrow I can recall the previous commands, right? So bash sendmail.sh, enter. I'm typing Mohan. Yes, mail successfully sent successfully to Mohan. Okay, once again I'm executing. I'm entering Madan. ID Madan, no such user. There is no user named Madan in this server. So I don't want the ID commands output to be displayed again. Then what I will do, I will redirect the error generated by ID command to /dev/null. So in one of our previous sessions, we have learned about merging the output and error streams. So wherever output goes, I want error also to go to the same destination. That is known as merging of the output and error stream. So 2 greater than, okay, ampersand 1. Wherever 1 greater than is going, that is wherever the output is redirected, I want error redirection also to happen into the same destination. Here ampersand is known as the stream merging operator. So 2 greater than means what? Error redirection. I want error redirection also to go to the same place where output is going. So 1 represents the output, standard output. Wherever the standard output is redirected, I want the error also to be redirected to the same destination. That we can specify by giving 2 greater than ampersand 1. So ID $name greater than /dev/null 2 greater than ampersand 1. So by this what I am doing, whether ID generates output or ID generates error, in both the cases the output or error both would go to /dev/1 null only. If output is generated, it will go to null file. If error is generated, that also would, in that case also it would go to the null file only. Okay, now let us execute the script and check again. Okay, so bash sendmail.sh. Okay, Madan. There is no username Madan in this server. So now the error is also suppressed. Error generated by the ID command is also suppressed. So I am able to give only my message. Whatever the message the programmer has written, that only is displayed. ID command's output is output. Neither the output of the ID command nor the error of the error generated by the output command are displayed. None of them are displayed. Okay. So I believe you have understood this. Okay. Vi send mail. Now let me tell you one more thing. Rather than executing ID command separately and then checking the $? Value, there is still an easier way. What is that? Let us see that. What I can do, rather than checking like this, what I can do, ID command only I can specify with the if ID $name. Okay, if ID $. See, when I'm able to when I am able to give test command with the if command, if test I am able to give, right? So test is also a command, ID is also a command. Test also generates, test also either executes successfully or it fails, right? ID also works in the same way how test works, right? Test also stores the value in $? Variable. It's a exit status value. ID also would do the same thing. Okay, so even if you are giving if ID also, fine. ID would either execute successfully or unsuccessfully based on that. If command will would take a decision whether to whether it is successful or not. Based on that, it would take a decision whether it has to go to the then part or the else part, right? So fine. So I can very well give if ID $name so and so, okay, greater than dev null 2 greater than ampersand 1. Okay, so I'm basically saving on executing ID command separately and then checking the $? Variables value, all those things. I'm directly giving ID command with the if command. Yes, this is perfectly fine. So now let us check it. How does it work? Okay, is there any difference or it works the same way? Okay, so bash sendmail.sh. Please enter a name. Mohan I am entering. Yes, mail sent successfully to Mohan. Okay, again I'm executing the bash the script. Okay, I'm entering Madan. There is no user named Madan in this server. Okay, so it executes the same way. There is no difference at all. Okay, the only difference is that I have saved the hassle of executing id command separately and then checking the value of the dollar question mark variable. So that I am saving. Okay, so I believe you would have understood this script, right? Next, let us work with yet another script. Okay, so this script, what we are doing means we are accepting an employee, a name of a file, an employee file, wherein some employee data, a set of employee data are stored, and then an employee ID from the user. Okay, and if the file doesn't exist, then it should display an error, right? The script should display an error. It should hard stop. If the employee ID doesn't exist in the file, then also it should display an error and hard stop. Okay, if the the file also exists and if the employee ID in the file also exists, then display the information about this employee. So the script has to display the information about this employee. If file exists as well as the employee ID in that file also exists, then it should display the information about that employee. Okay, what is the ID of the employee, name of the employee, designation of the employee, all those things. Okay, so that is the purpose of the script that we are going to write. Let us name the file as check employee. Okay, so and it is a convention always to uh, name the script file wherein give the extension as .sh. It's just a convention so that uh, we are always able to identify the scripts very easily. I want to at some point of time I want to move all the shell scripts to a particular directory called scripts. I'm creating one directory called scripts. I want to move all the shell scripts to that directory. I can easily do that, right? mv star.sh space scripts, that would move all the script files to the directory called scripts. Okay, so giving a .sh extension always helps me to identify the scripts from the user's point of view, to identify the scripts easily, right? Okay, vi check employee.sh. Okay, so what is the purpose of this script? Accept employee file name and employee ID from user and check if the employee ID is there in the file. If present, then display employee record. So echo please enter file name, and I want the cursor to accept the input in the same line. I don't want the cursor to accept the input in the next line. So for that I can specify -n option. Okay, -n option would suppress the new line which would otherwise be inserted by the echo command at the end of the message, right? So it would always insert a new line at the end of the message. Okay, but when you, by specifying the -n option, you are suppressing that new line. Read fname. Fname means file name. Echo -n please enter employee ID. Okay, then read emp id. Okay, then if test or okay, if test, we have learned about the file test operators, right? If test -e or -f I can give. That is -f, what it will check, -f is a file test operator which will check if the file is a regular file. So -f $f name, meaning if the file input by the user, if that file is a regular file, then what I want to do, maybe just for the sake I am just displaying message like $fname is a regular or ordinary. Regular and ordinary mean one and the same file. I'm displaying. Then within this if, I'm giving another nested if. If test, okay, here not if test, if grep, okay, if the file exists, okay, and I want to also check if that file is a non-empty file. What is the operator to check if it is a non-empty file? If test hyphen s. Hyphen s is a file test operator which would check if the file is a non-empty file. If test hyphen s $fname, okay, then if it is a regular file and if it is a non-empty file, then what you will do? If grep, okay, before grep, okay, grep only, yeah, because employee ID you already accepted, right? If grep, okay, $empid $fname. What we are doing? We are grepping for employee ID in $fname. So if it is successful, okay, then what we want to do? If grep $empid $fname, okay, then, and we want to suppress that output /dev /null. Then what we want to do? We want to let us do like this. Rather than giving if grep, I'll just grep for it. Grep $empid $fname. Okay. In case if grep is unsuccessful, that I would capture. If test $question mark equal to not equal to 0, then echo, okay, $empid doesn't $empid doesn't exist in $fname, right? Fine. Okay. Colon SCTS equal to 4. Okay. So I have set the tab stop to 4. See, there is something like you can use set tab stop equal to 4. So by default the tab stop was 8. I have set the tab stop to 4. So it will be easy. I can just specify that for indentation. I can press the tab. Okay. Okay. Fine. So what is this if? This outer if, it checks whether the file is a non-empty file. So that if else, what it is going to handle? It is going to handle if the file is a, see, it will mean that, okay, so it will mean that whether the file is, so this else would mean if the file is empty, correct? Okay, so if the file is empty, what I need to do? Echo $fname is an empty file, correct? Then I will end that file, that if, correct? Now I have come to the outermost if, that is if test hyphen of $fname, right? This if. So let me handle the else of this if. This else, what I need to do? So if it is a regular file, so then I should tell echo $fname is not a regular file. $fname is not a regular file. Regular or ordinary file. It may be a directory file or any other file. Okay, file. Okay. So let us try to understand this. Okay, let me quickly walk you through this script once again. I am accepting an input for f name, that is a file name. I am accepting an input for the emp id, and then I am checking if the file f name is a regular file. Then I am just telling $f name is a regular file. Then within that I am checking if that file is a non-empty file. If so, I am grepping for the employee in that file name. So that would display the information about that employee. Okay. And here I am checking whether that if that employee ID doesn't exist in that file. Okay. If the employee ID is not there in the file, then what I need to do. Okay. If the employee ID doesn't exist in that file, then I would just display. If dollar question mark is not equal to 0, it means that what? Grep is unsuccessful. When grep would be unsuccessful? If the employee ID, if it is unable to find that employee ID in the file, then I am just telling employee ID doesn't exist in the file. Then I am just closing it. That was a inner if. Now I come to the else if of this C. This is one main if. Within that you have an inner if. Within that another inner if. So you have two nested ifs, right? Fine. Now I have come to this nested if. Okay, this first inner if. So first inner if else part I am handling. So always indenting your code would be much, you would be able to understand it much easily. So always indent your code, and always the default tab stop is 8. That would be a very big tab stop. Okay, it will be what is it? The tab stop would be more. So you can set the tab stop to 4 by giving colon set ts equal to 4. Ts means tab stop. Okay, you can always set it like that. That is escape colon set ts equal to 4. Okay, so let me show you once again. Colon set ts equal to 4. But before giving colon, you have to press escape to go to the command mode. Otherwise, that set ts equal to 4 would be typed as a part of the text, right? As a part of the your code. Okay, so but we want to give it as a special command in to the VI. So you have to give escape colon set ts equal to 4. That will set the tab stop to 4. Okay, fine. So this else part, what I'm this else is for what? The condition to check if the file is non-empty. So here I am telling it is empty file. Then this else is for what? The main if, whether the file is a regular file. So I am telling it's not a regular file. Okay. Now let us execute the script and check. Okay, the script what it expects, file name and the employee ID. Okay. So now I am executing the script. Bash check employee.sh. Please enter file name. Okay, employee.data. Please enter employee ID. Okay, 45. Employee.data is a regular or ordinary file. Then, so now what is happening? So I am just gripping for the ID 45, but I want to grep for the record whose ID is 45, employee ID is 45. But here what is happening, wherever in that record that 45 is there, it is getting it. But there is a workaround. I can very well grep for exactly that record whose employee ID is 45. Let us see how do we do that. Okay, let me open the file. Check employee.sh. See, if I want to get the employee whose employee ID is 45, we very well know that the every record begins with the employee ID. So I can always tell I want to grep a record which begins with 45. That is one workaround. So let us look at that workaround. Okay. So where is my grep? Here. So what I can do? Grep caret dollar employee ID. Okay. Caret dollar emp ID. So dollar emp ID is the variable. Correct. And caret means what? The if the string or if that line begins with dollar employee ID, then only grep only that line. Okay, yeah, this is one workaround. Let us see whether it exactly gets that particular employee whose employee ID is 45. Okay, so let us see. We'll just execute the script and check. Okay, bash check employee.sh. Please enter file name employee.data. Okay, sorry, now it will tell the file doesn't exist. Okay, so 89 employee.dat is not a regular file, correct? Because we are checking whether the file entered by the user, if it is a regular file, right? So it is not employee.dat, it is employee.data. Okay, so employee.data. So we have looked at this scenario also, this validation. If you are not entering the correct file name, then it will display the appropriate error message. Is it displaying it or not? It has displayed it, the appropriate error message, and it has hot stopped your program. Okay, fine. Enter the employee, enter the file name employee.data, enter the employee ID. Okay, let me enter something 45. Okay, now employee.data is a regular or ordinary file, and then it displays the record of the employee, correct? Okay, now let us suppose I am entering an employee ID which doesn't exist. Okay, so the file name I am entering properly, employee.data, but the employee ID I am entering 450. Okay, so there is no employee whose ID is 450. We know. So till ID 100 only it is there. So let us see how it responds, how the program responds. Employee.data is a regular ordinary file. Fine. Employee.data file is there, but 450 doesn't exist in employee.data. That is the employee with the ID 450. Okay, maybe I could have given a much user-friendly message like employee with the ID 450 doesn't exist in the employee.data. That we can very well do. Okay, that is a message. We can very well enter that message. Okay, we can very well okay um, modify the message in such a way that the output is more user friendly. Okay, we can quickly do that. Check employee.sh. So what I want to do here, okay, employee with ID $emp ID doesn't exist in the file. $f name is an empty file. Fine. Then here $f name is not a regular file. Okay, all those things we have taken care. Okay, so clear. Bash check employee.sh, enter the file name. So I'm entering something like desktop, enter the employee ID 45. Desktop is not a regular file. Okay, desktop is a directory file. We know that there is a file called desktop, but it is a directory file. So I'm checking whether that file entered is a regular file. So it fails, correct? Okay. So that aspect we have checked, and another aspect is that, okay, enter the file name. Okay, so employee dot data, enter the employee ID -5. So employee dot data is a regular or ordinary file, but employee with ID -5 doesn't exist in the employee data. These are the two failure scenario. Okay, clear. We okay, bash check employee.sh, unsuccessful scenario, employee.data and 83, the employee ID 83. So employee.data is a regular ordinary file. 83 Vernon Alford so and so, that employee's record is displayed. What if you are entering a empty file? Okay, let us suppose I'm creating one empty file. Touch my file new cat or ls-l my file new. So it is a empty file. We have created a new empty file. So let us suppose how it handles if the file entered by the user is an empty file. Okay, how the script handles it. So bash check employee.sh. So I'm entering an empty file, my file new, and then some employee ID. My file new is an empty file. So that is also taken care. So I believe okay, now we are quite clear about how the if condition works. We have also learnt about the here document in this session. Thank you. See you in the next class. Take care. Bye bye.